Hey, this is Josh with New Review with Cultural Catholic coming at you with a Monday Knowledge Day. Finally, and I'm finally getting to alternate history. So first, I'm going to do a quick definition, then give an example, uh, talk a little bit more about like the history and how it's used, and some trends, and then finally go in, and then finally let you guys go exploring. So the definition of alternate history is a genre of fiction in which the author speculates how the course of history might have been altered if a particular historical event had a different outcome. So to break that down even further, alternate history requires three things. First, it needs a point of divergence, which is a point in time in actual history. Then it needs something that changes history that is integral to that point in time already. And then finally, it needs an examination of the ramifications of that change. So, an example of that would be there's this book that came out a long time ago, apparently, called The Years of Rice and Salt, that I now need to buy and read. Um, and its point of divergence is the Black Plague. The change is the Black Plague kills 99% of Europe's population. And then the rest of the book covers the ramifications of that change. Um, Very simple, very easy to go along with. Um, a little bit of history on it. Alternate history has been a very, very long living genre. The first recorded or known uh, alternate history uh, account comes from Livy and his Ab Urba Condita Libri. Uh, so long time ago, and it covers what Alexander the Great would have done if he had gone west instead of east, which wouldn't have made sense. And in this case, he would have lost to the Romans, which also doesn't make sense because he is the greatest military mind to possibly ever have lived. Um, and it's come in and out of popularity, or it's had a lot of different things come about. But in the last few uh, decades, it's become fairly standard fare in literature nowadays. Um, and it's one of the most prolific writers is actually Henry Turtledove, and he's done a lot of really interesting things, like if Earth was invaded by aliens during World War II. I actually started doing the audiobook, but afterwards I'm like, I kind of need to read this. This seems like more of a read than a listen. Um, Not that the audiobook guy wasn't doing a great job. It's just I feel like I need a little bit more solid. Uh, Anyways, that's my personal thing. But it's still a fairly popular genre. It's actually also bridged into video games and television and movies. Um, I think something that could count as alternate history is like the Total War series, because you're ultimately altering history. The point of convergence is when you get into the game and you doing your own thing in the game instead of doing what history actually uh, dictated. Another popular series is the Fallout series, where it takes place in the aftermath of an actual nuclear war that took place during the Cold War era. That's actually one of the most popular franchises of all time. But yeah, there's tons and tons of literature out there, tons and tons of things out there. Now, something that's really actually interesting is there's um, a cousin genre called counterfactual history, which is something that historians actually use. Instead of it being like a what if, it's actually a fairly um, researched and carefully reasoned speculation of what might have happened. So it takes the first two things, the point of convergence and the change, but instead of doing, and of course, these are all fairly well researched. Um, just look at Alternate History Hub, which I will put a link to in the description below because they do fantastic work. Um, and it's an exercise, a mental exercise. I really think this is a great genre. Y'all should check it out. This is Josh with Cultural Catholic signing off.